What's up guys, it's Doc the Large, and we're hitting you with some Master Duel content right now. Now I want to present you guys with my Adamancipator Master Duel list. Now this list is comprised of my experience from Adamancipator in its prime in the TCG, along with what I've learned from things adapting through streamers such as, Farfa, who's played this deck previously. And this is my take on what a deck needs to look like for Master Duel. If you want to play this differently, go ahead, but I will tell you what I think is definitely necessary and what I think isn't. So this is a pretty standard list, all things considered. We're not playing the Onomatopoeia package, not interested in that. I think it's very bricky, inconsistent, and just not worth running. But I'll take you through the card by card and we'll explain every single choice. So to start with, Jet Synchron, that's for your Halqifibrax package. It's another way to let you make Apollousa. If I'm entirely honest, I'm not enthralled with the Halq package. I would prefer, a lot of the times, just use it to summon another level 2 tuner. So I might actually swap this out for a Plague Spreader at some point. Don't know, not sure yet. Something I've been experimenting with on my ladder climb. Dragon Buster, Destruction Sword. This is really stupid that this is allowed back in. This is part of the Union Carrier lock that you can do with Borreload Savage Dragon. And pretty much, if we scroll down, while this card is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot summon from the extra deck. It's dumb. And shouldn't be in the game, but you know what? It is. And then we have Maxx. You have to play this card. The card is literally mandatory. There is no way to get around it. I could barely justify to myself not playing Crossout Designated to negate this thing. But this deck, it's not one that you want to take the Maxx challenge on, but you can. Usually, at least. Other bonus for this, it is an Earth, as you can see up here. It is an Earth, which means you can banish it for Block Dragon. So I can help you on break sometimes. Doki Doki, automatic 3-0 for me. You discard a rock, summon a rock with the same level and attribute. Every rock in your deck is an Earth rock, pretty much, apart from... No, yeah, every rock is an Earth rock. The only non-Earth rocks in your... Oh, besides Dragite. The only non-Earth rocks in your deck are Dragite, because it's water, Dropsies for your Prank-Kids package, Buster Sword, and Jet Synchron. Which is... Oh, and Maxx. But that's fine, honestly. You'll see enough for this card to be worth it. This can be really helpful for getting rid of a level 4 in your hand to summon Analyser and start going nuts, and then synchroing itself and Analyser because Doki is a level 2 to make your Raptite. Pretty helpful. Dropsies, I'll come back to this. It'll make sense. Then we hit the main two Adamancipator monsters, Seeker and Researcher. You would always rather see Researcher because they have two different summoning conditions. Researcher specifies if you control a rock monster, except itself, summon it. Seeker specifies if you control an Adamancipator, except itself, summon it. So, Research is a lot easier to just drop on the board. Seeker isn't a bad card though. You still definitely play 3, because you can just normal summon it. If you make Raptite, you can drop it. If you drop Research, you can drop it. Analyzer, you can drop it. It's still useful. You definitely want to play as many Adamancipator tuners as possible, because the deck doesn't really function without them. Flint Cragger. Excuse me. This is a new tag that I personally really enjoy. If it's specimen, you discard one, and it's a Fossil Fusion monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. And I'm going to skip ahead to the extra deck to show you Fossil Dragon Skullgar. This is a Fossil Fusion monster, and it has the following effect. You can banish it from your graveyard to add a Fossil Fusion from your deck to your hand. And Fossil Fusion, which I'll skip to now so I don't have to discuss it later, lets you fusion summon a fossil from your extra deck. But you use materials in the graveyards. So I use typically Skull Buggy. The actual burn effect on this has won me a game. I know that's not entirely relevant, but I do feel the need to bring updates there. Pretty much you just summon it with a rock and a level 4 or lower monster. So typically I like to banish Dropsies because it does nothing in the graveyard, and the Flint Cragger, or even like, I don't know, an Adamancipator I don't want, a Rocksies, because there will be a Rocksies if there's a Dropsies. Or even Rock Band, because Rock Band gets an effect when it's banished, but I'll come to him later. And then when this thing hits the graveyard, you can just add a monster that mentions Fossil Fusion. So you just get your advantage back from Flint Cragger. It's really helpful. 2 Gigantes, only 2 because it's kind of bricky. You don't want to see this with your Adamancipators, because it's a miss by all means. Like no matter your Adamancipator, it'll miss. So, but you do want it because it's a great block dragon target, which if you don't know block dragon, I'll explain later. It's one of the big things that made me want to play this deck again. And it's also a great extender. You can use it off of Doki Doki to summon Analyser. It's very important. Then we get to Koa'ki Meiru Guardian. Pretty standard monster. This is kind of your one saving grace for Maxi. You normal summon this, and you contribute it to negate a monster effect. Your opponent wants to chain Maxi to your Researcher. I'll just tribute my Guardian negate, summon my Researcher, and continue. If they want to Nibiru you, you can negate it. Right, Guardian is really important, and even if they Maxi you immediately at the start of your turn, just summon Guardian, reveal 1 at the end phase so that you keep on the field and pass. It's not fantastic, but this card genuinely makes this deck feel a lot safer around the issue to Maxi. Then we got Rocksies. So Rocksies is an Earth Rock, but it's a Prank-Kids. And this lets you bring in a little link engine, which I really do appreciate. So first of all, when Rocksies is used as a material for Prank-Kids, you can banish a card and draw one, so you get to cycle your deck more. And then you summon a Prank-Kids, which is your Dropsies. And I'll explain Dropsies now. It has the same effect as when you send it. You get a benefit, so in this one, you gain 1,000 life points. Pretty helpful, pretty helpful. And you summon another Prank-Kids. So you summon back your Rocksies, but you might be thinking, well, what are we making with them? We got Meow-Meow-Mu, which is just a link one. So you'll be summoning Rocksies off of, let's say, Researcher. Make it Meow-Meow-Mu. Use its effect to banish 1, draw 1. Then summon Dropsies and use Meow-Meow-Mu and Dropsies to make yourself Dodo-Doodle-Do. Which you're not interested about its effect, you're kind of just interested in 2,000 attack. And then Dropsies will gain you some life points and summon back a Rocksies. So you gained a Link 2 monster, and you still have your Rocksies on the board to use for your Synchro material. It's a great little engine. It's not massively bricky, because you can still summon Dropsies from the hand. So I really do appreciate this engine. Genuinely, I think it's really helpful. Then we get to Analyser. Again, it's like Researcher and Seeker, but you can only use its specimen if your opponent controls a monster and you don't. So this deck actually is a great going second ability, mainly by this card, Dragite, which I'll get to in a minute, and your Knightmare package which you play, because it's really helpful sometimes. Yeah, it's just standard Adamancipator effect. Dragite. There's a couple reasons I play Dragite. It's a water target, so that you can turn on Dragite's negate, which again we'll get to. And when you summon it by an Adamancipator, you draw 1. Sometimes that's just all you want. Supplier, this is a really great card. If a rock is sent to the graveyard, that can include for a link summon, special summon it. And when it's special summoned, you can add a Koa'ki Meiru card. Koa'ki Meiru Guardian. You don't have to special summon over a tone effect for this. You can summon it off of an Adamancipator to get a search. It's just a great card all around. Rock Band. When it's sent to grave, target a rock in your grave, add it to hand. So typically I use that if I normal summoned Researcher, use this effect, summon Rock Band, link 2 to make Raptite, which I'll get to in a second, then just add back the Researcher and I can drop the Researcher again. So regardless of if my Raptite misses, I can guarantee to make an 8th. Very helpful, very helpful. But its main effect is when it's banished, so let's say Gigantes or Fossil Fusion even, you can send a rock from your deck to the graveyard, which has 2 targets, one of them being the following, Shell Knight. When it's normal summon, it does something I don't really care. But when it's destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard by a card effect, so Rock Band, let's say for example, add a level 8 rock from your deck to your hand. Now, a lot of people yeah, again, you can't use the effect of Block Dragon turn you do it. I mainly use this if I've already used Block Dragon that turn and I just want hand advantage, right? I just want more cards in hand to be able to use next turn, because you know, your opponent can DD Crow or Block Dragon. I don't know how prominent DD Crow is in this format. I've not had that issue, but it comes up, and if nothing else, It's another level 4 rock name. It was literally just going to be replaced by a one-off spell, which I didn't want anyway, so I'm quite happy to put it in. Then we have Block Dragon. Pretty much the heart and soul of the deck. You summon it by banishing 3 Earths. It's got a protection for rock monsters. It doesn't come up a massive amount in this deck, but when it's sent from the field to the grave, you can add 3 rocks from your deck to your hand, whose levels equal 8. Typically, you'll add Seeker, Researcher, and Gigantes, although sometimes you want to change it up a bit. But that's typically what you add, because if you haven't used any of those, you now have massive amounts of extenders, and if not, you've got to follow up next time. So we get to the extra deck. I've already talked you through my fossils. We play Naturia Beast, and I think this is one of the most insane buffs this deck got that no one talks about. So Naturia Beast is an Earth Tuner and a non-tuner Earth monster. Flint Cragger and either level 2 tuner makes Naturia Beast. And if you've never seen Naturia Beast, when a spell is activated, send the top 2 cards of your deck to the grave, negate. That's not once per turn. That you can negate every single spell your opponent's gonna do. This is very good. I love this card. I don't get why more people aren't recognizing that this deck has this option now. Raptite. It's an Adamancipator, but it can summon the tuners. Pretty simple. Borreload Savage Dragon. This is usually the monster you want on your end board, because it allows you to use your Dragon Buster Destruction Sword lock, and it's also an Omni Negate, because when it's Synchro summoned, you equip a Link monster from your graveyard. We play enough of those. You put some borrow counters on it, it gains some attack, but also, when the card effect is activated, you can remove a borrow counter to negate. That is a once per turn effect, so it's pretty helpful. Dragite. I initially didn't run Dragite, and then when I realized, oh wait, this is a best of 1 format, I can't side deck. I decided I had to run this, because if I go second, this is a must. Excavate top 5 cards of your deck, and for every rock you excavate, bounce a card your opponent controls. Phenomenal. Because if your opponent doesn't negate it on its initial activation, they can't do anything about it. It's honestly great. Oh, and also there's a spell trap negate if you have a water in your grave, which would be your Dragite or your Dropsies. Very helpful. Gallant Granite, you're 1 rank 4. I was originally running Abyss Dweller, but I just never came up enough, and I ended up swapping out Abyss Dweller for Dragite, which I think is a fair swap. Then we got Linkuriboh, the royal finish, fitting. For something that literally exists for Jet Synchron, which is an engine I very rarely end up using. It's just a Link 1, and you can summon it back. It's pretty good. I've already talked about Meow-Meow-Mu. Halqifibrax. I love the royal finish on this. It's so beautiful. Oh, I didn't know you could bring up an instant interface. Interesting. Well, appreciate my royal flush now. Pretty much, if you've never seen Halqifibrax before, it's 2 monsters, including a tuner, and you summon a tuner from the deck. Typically, you're supposed to summon Jet Synchron. However, there are many times where it's like, oh, I need to mess around with some link ratings quickly, but I also want to be able to synchro later. So I will just summon another Adamancipator tuner, because you can't activate their effect on the field from the ones you summon with Halqifibrax. So there are a lot of times I just want to summon out another tuner and be able to work around with some link numbers. Then we play Cerberus and Phoenix. This is literally your only spell trap removal. If you play against a skill drain deck, forfeit immediately. You have no out. You have 0 out to skill drain. I admit that's a problem. I also admit I can't really find room. It's one of those things. If you come across Monkey, just forfeit. Just don't bother sitting there. Just queue up a new game, and you'll get to play pretty easily. Cerberus, it's another Earth. I do like these things. They're great for going second, and sometimes I just have a Link monster I want to get in the graveyard, so that I can use Savage and equip it, but I don't have a way to put it in the grave effectively. Do you know what I mean? So having the Nightmares is just a generic Link monster, very helpful. Dodo-Doodle-Do, already talked about him. Union Carrier, this thing's kind of dumb. If you don't know, 2 monsters with the same type or attribute, usually that will be Rock or Earth, because we have a lot of those. Can't use a Link material turns Link summoned, doesn't really come up very much. You don't have to worry about that. Target a face-up monster you control, equip a monster from your hand or deck with the same original type or attribute as the equipped monster, gains 1,000. And you can't summon monsters with that equipped name for the rest of the time. Doesn't really matter. Because there's 2 targets for this actually. Buster Dragon Destruction Sword, which you equip onto your Borreload Savage. because, you know, being able to summon on the extra deck's a great resource, so why don't we deny it? And then Block Dragon, because you do trigger it, you do fulfill its requirement of being sent from the field to the graveyard. Even if it's in the spell and trap zone, we're still on the field. And then finally, Apollousa, one of your boss monsters. Usually this thing ends up, hitting the board with 3 or 4 negates. So I think one of my best end boards, personally, was Savage Dragon, Naturia Beast, Apollousa, and Union Carrier to equip Destruction Sword onto the Borreload Savage Dragon, and I just had a Maxx in hand while I was, you know, just at the end of it. So even if they were going to start going nuts, I just Maxx them. Like, hey, look, you want to challenge me? Go ahead. I will be able to rebuild next time. I love this deck. I think this is a really, really good deck for people to pick up if you want to get on the ladder. To be honest, it's pretty beginner friendly. My only experience is from 2020, where this deck was somewhat popular. It wasn't, well, actually, it was the best deck at the time, but it wasn't even as powerful as in this format. Right now is the most powerful Adamancipator has ever been. That's not really an exaggeration. I understand a lot of people prefer playing Halqifibrax engines for like Auradon. I know people might question, oh, why aren't you playing the O-line? I don't enjoy that engine, personally. I don't think it's actually that good. I experimented with it briefly. I didn't have much positive experience with it. But, you know, I much prefer just having Jet Synchron to quickly make an Apollousa, you know. Even if it's a matter of like, oh, I can make Naturia Beast pass. Well, more often than not, I want to make an Apollousa pass, because Apollousa negates more important things usually. In this format right now, a lot of the spells are just there to negate Maxx. So, Naturia Beast is good, and believe me, if your opponent's playing Sky Striker, they're fucked. But usually you want the Apollousa on the board. But yeah, that's my Adamancipator list. Hope you guys enjoy it. Make sure you like and subscribe. I've currently been making my way up the ladder, and depending on how things go, I should be able to bring you a Phantom Knights deck list soon. I want to test that out a little bit before I, you know, show it to you guys. I want to make sure that it's the quality that I'm looking for. But yeah, make sure you subscribe for some more epic Master Duel content. Because believe me, we're going to be bringing it. I love this game. I've always loved Yu-Gi-Oh! And I want to be able to show you guys what I really enjoy. See you guys. Smash like.